Well, I've got another one here for the foresters, especially. It's called Down to Earth, or the Hard-Headed Businessman. I am the hard-headed businessman. I understand hard, practical things. None of this impractical nonsense about the soil and the trees and the flowers. None of this soft, idealistic rubbish for me. I'm a hard-headed, solid, practical chap. Down to earth, that's my motto. Bricks and mortar, timber, iron, copper, manganese, rubber, gold, uranium, engineering, electronics, and so on. That's what I believe in. But even more, that hardiest of all hard fact. Hard cash. The ultimate material entity. What is a pound? Why, it's a note promising to pay, of course. Signed by the chief cashier of the Bank of England, no less. What could be more solid than that? And what is this pound that is promised? I've just told you. It's a promise to pay the bearer £1, soundly based on the very best authority. Yes, and this further pound that is promised? This is also a promise, to pay 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 a promise. Stop it, sir, damn you, sir! You're undermining confidence. Go on like that and you bring the whole civilization crashing about our ears. For this I believe in. This is what I mean by hard-headed practical common sense. This is not to be questioned, for this is the ultimate reality. Now, who are the realists? The forest botanist who for the last 20 years has been saying, study your trees, associated fungi, vegetation, soil, aspect, climate. Get the right trees in the right place and you can leave the price to look after itself. Or the people who say, this is idealistic nonsense. What you want is the price of Sitka spruce in 2020 as calculated by the computer after you put in a couple of dozen assumptions as to what is going to happen. There's something hard to work on. Or is it?
This brings us to the great crisis of the youth of my generation. The Great Depression or slump of the 1920s and 30s, which indeed resembles our present time. In this, that it was the last time before this when the whole world and everybody's life was dominated and tortured by money, by the manipulation of finance and credit. Then it was deflation. Then we either had a slump with deflation or a boom with inflation. Now they've managed to have both at once, but that's by the way. Well, here's one of the first poems I wrote about that. It's called To a Wheat Farmer.
Grey autumn clouds to the westward, far woods yellow in the sun, brown earth turning to the tractor plough, the task's begun. Black frost gripping the ploughlands under a vault of grey, stealthily working for men and silently crumbling the clay. Pale gold sunshine reflected from acres of quivering green, cloud shadows swiftly approaching and passing, dulling the sheen. Steady whir of the reaper, cutting till set of sun, harvest work and harvest wages for everyone. Stooking and carting and stacking, thatching it well from the rain, thrashing and dressing and carefully storing the well-earned grain. Plump grain, the colour of sunshine, the best of the good earth's giving. Poor fool, growing it was wasted time, you lose your living. That, of course, was the situation in the 1930s. If a farm, which was a perfectly economic unit, all of a sudden becomes an uneconomic unit. What has changed? The real things? The men, the soil, the wheat? Or is it the money? It certainly was the money then. Incidentally, this poem had an aftermath which pleased me a lot more than any literary prize. When I went to Australia in 1969, an Australian came up to me and he started quoting a bit of this poem. He'd remembered for about 30 years. And he told me that he'd called his little daughter, who was born about that time, with the unusual girl's name of Grain, and that she'd now got a daughter, his granddaughter, who was also called Grain. So it seems that this little poem started a girl's name in Australia. Oh dear, do I hear you yawning and saying, oh, now we're going to have this elderly man's reminiscences. This ghastly old slump that happened before we were born. What a bore. But these aren't reminiscences. These are the impact of this ghastly event on a young man, your contemporary. And this is an event that affects all our lives now. This is what it felt like to be living in the 1930s. The fields are ripe to harvest. The fields are ripe with grain. O poverty, O misery, we have too much again. The silver surplus fishes are rotting in a heap. The fruit is dropping from the trees. There are too many sheep and far too many cattle. There is a glut of meat. O poverty, O misery, we have too much to eat. They've ploughed the cotton under. The wool they leave in stacks. The threadbare clothes of penury still do for people's backs. The great machines are idle. The men are idle too. They have been taught that work is life. They have no work to do. With milk and honey flowing, the promised land has come. The milk is flowing down the drain, but not into the slum. The world of power and plenty envelops us unseen. The plenty of the fruitful earth, the power of the machine. O cruel, bitter mockery, the more that we are blessed with our abundant heritage, the more we're dispossessed. O mean and futile robbery that drives us to despair, that fights against prosperity lest we should have our share. O needless, mad frustration, O hell and foul damnation. O staring ribs of poverty. The world, I say, the world is well. The shops are full, they live to sell. We cannot live unless we buy with paper tokens. Why, oh, why must we be starved? The things are there, the power is there, the skill is there, the need, my God, the need is there. Oh, ledger-bound futility, oh, screaming imbecility, the money is not there. Well, that poem went round the world, had quite an impact.